Okay, so some logistics. We have with us this evening our school community coordinators. Miss Nellie Chong for Spanish, Miss Lilia Lung for Cantonese, Miss Lin Lu for Vietnamese, and Miss Julie Ma for Mandarin. Please select one of these languages if you need translation at the bottom of your screen. Also with us and with me presenting this evening is Assistant Superintendent of Student Support Services, Ms. Pat Mahoney, Director of Student Support Services, Mr. Lindsay Ma, Director of Pre-K to 12 Instruction, Ms. Krista Van Orden, and Superintendent Hanami will be joining us shortly, and other members of Executive Cabinet. And so let me go ahead and share my screen with you. There we go. So tonight we'll be reviewing our default 100% in-person learning program, health order information, and our 100% virtual learning option, and then some next steps and an opportunity for questions and answers. So 100% in-person learning. As you may recall, if you attended some of the last several board meetings, Ms. Janet Lee's Assistant Superintendent of Ed Services presented our return to 100% in-person learning. So I will be providing a refresher of key points. And so Alhambra Unified will return to 100% in-person learning for the 21-22 school year. We have developed a comprehensive instructional program with expanded learning opportunities and social emotional learning built into the school day, and a staff committed to meeting the needs of all students. This is our most comprehensive program because we have tier 1, 2, and 3 intervention embedded into our instructional plan. And we have opportunities for acceleration with honors and advanced placement courses. We also have opportunities for students to socialize or be socialized through athletics, extracurriculars, and clubs. And so now I will turn it over to our Assistant Superintendent, Pat Mahoney, who will give us an update on LA County DPH.
Thank you, Marissa. I'm going to give a brief update on the LA County Department of Public Health orders that were just released today. So briefly, as aligned with the California Department of Public Health order, LA County is going to require universal masking for all TK to 12 students and staff when they are indoors. Masks are optional for everyone when they're in an outdoor setting. LA County also recommends that measures be implemented to create physical distancing in our schools, as long as this does not interfere with the full-time attendance of all enrolled students. There is no mandate required for physical distancing, but schools should and will provide distancing to the degree possible in all of our classrooms. Additionally, we are to follow continued quarantine and testing protocols for exposed vaccinated staff and students, as well as those that are unvaccinated. Next slide, please. There are some individuals that are exempt from wearing a mask at all times. Students who present appropriate documentation demonstrating a disability or condition that does not allow them to safely wear a mask should wear a face shield with drape at the bottom if their condition allows it. Students with documented conditions that do not accommodate the face shield and drape may request a reasonable accommodation from the school or the district. Next slide, please. Additionally, for indoor spaces, ventilation should be optimized. Staff, students, and visitors should complete a self-screener remotely or upon entry to the campus. Everyone, students and staff, should stay home if they are ill or symptomatic, and it is strongly recommended that you get a COVID test if you have symptoms similar to COVID. It's a best practice for schools to continue to be transparent to the school community regarding its school's opening and safety plans. Last year, if you all recall, we posted these plans on our district website. We are in the process of updating them now that we have the health order, and they will also be posted again on the district website. And we are testing is under consideration at this time. Next slide, please. Consistent with guidance from the 2020-21 school year, schools must develop and implement local protocols to enforce the mask requirements. Additionally, schools should offer alternative educational opportunities for students who are excluded from campus because they will not wear a face covering. Next steps for Alhambra in terms of providing you more details in regards to our opening and addressing more detailed information about the safety protocols and procedures we put into place. We will have 2 parent meetings next week. Wednesday, August 4th from 5 to 6 p.m. for 9th through 12th grade parents. And next Thursday, August 5th from 5 to 6 p.m. for parents of TK to 8th grade parents. And now I will turn it over to Mr. Lindsay K. Ma, Director of Student Support Services.
Thank you, Ms. Mahoney. And so what does that mean for in-person learning at our Alhambra Unified School District schools? In terms of safety measures, even though the formal daily screeners have been retired by the DPH orders, they strongly suggest that we do have a screening questionnaire in place. And as such, we have placed this particular screening questionnaire in place. It's posted at the point of entry of each school, and each principal will be posting it on their school's website, and will also review it in their welcome back PowerPoints with parents and with students. And so before arriving at school, we do ask that you complete this self-screener. Have you had any of these symptoms within the past 24 hours? Fever or chills, cough, shortness of breath or difficulty breathing, fatigue, muscle or body aches, headache, new loss of taste or smell, sore throat, congestion or runny nose, nausea or vomiting or diarrhea. If you exhibit any of those symptoms within the last 24 hours, we do ask that you not come to school. In addition, if children or students or staff are not feeling well, they should not come to school either. Next slide, please. Mask wearing is a mandate indoors, and that is not only in schools, but throughout the Los Angeles County. And so as such, we will have posters posted about the correct way of wearing a mask. Whenever indoors, they need to be fully masked. Outdoors is optional, and you can be outdoors without the mask at this point in time inside LA County. So the mask protects you and others. That's how it works. It protects others by lowering the number of particles and, oh, I'm sorry, move to the next slide, please. Thank you. So the mask protects others by lowering the number of particles and droplets that a person releases into the air when you breathe and when you talk. The mask also protects you, the wearer, from taking in droplets and particles through your nose and mouth from others who are around you. And why is that important? That is because the science about the spread of the COVID virus has taught us over the last year and a half that it is with the virus is airborne in terms of it has to go from human host to human host. And so if once outside the human host, it is very, very fragile and it cannot survive. And so by wearing the mask, it protects you from taking in those droplets. Next slide, please. We must wear a mask when you're at school, inside buildings. It is important that the mask be worn properly so that it works in protecting you and those around you. It has to completely cover the nose and the mouth, and it should fit snugly around the face and should leave no gaps. And next slide, please. Okay, and so what kind of mask should I wear? There are plenty out there that are on the market, but this would be the test that you would use. Make sure that it fits snugly against your nose and your chin with no large gaps around the sides of the face. And so know that masks come in different sizes, and you'll see at the different stores and things like that, that there are masks that are made for children. They are generally smaller, and there are masks that are made for adults, and they're generally bigger. So you should take a look at the sizes and make sure that it fits around the nose and the chin of your face. It should have 2 or more layers that are tightly woven together, so it does really filter out the droplets and the particles that are in the air. And then, you should be comfortable, and your child should be comfortable wearing the mask for periods of time, because when in the classroom, the expectation and that mandate is that we are all in masks. And so they need to be comfortable wearing that mask. And so now I'm going to hand it back over to Dr. Palacios.
Thank you, Mr. Ma. Now I'm going to go over our 100% virtual learning option, otherwise known as our Eagle Soar virtual learning program. Eagles are successful, optimistic, accountable, and respectful. So AUSD recognizes that some of our families may need an alternative education option to address medical conditions. We will offer an independent study, which is our 100% virtual option, to families whose students' health would be put at risk by in-person instruction, as determined by the parent or guardian. Under Governor Newsom's Assembly Bill 130, we are required to provide this option to our parents, which has now been posted on all our school websites. With this comes the requirements for K through 3 daily synchronous instruction for all students throughout the school year. Grades 4 through 8 of daily live interaction and at least weekly synchronous instruction for all students throughout the school year. Grades 9 through 12, at least weekly synchronous instruction for all students throughout the school year. And the law also defines live interaction, which means interaction between the student and a certificated, which is a teacher, or a classified, which is an instructional aide, and other office staff, may include also peers, provided for the purpose of maintaining school connectedness, check-ins, progress monitoring, or just interacting with peers as well. The law also defines synchronous instruction as classroom style instruction. And so asynchronous instruction would be more like independent work or small group work or one-on-one interaction. So I know many of you have also students in K through 8 or TK through 8 program. So I'll just briefly go over that in case you're here. So our K through 8 program that we are providing is enrollment at our Eagle Soar virtual learning program, where you will attend Eagle Soar virtual learning program events. Some of the questions that have come up are, can I attend my home schools events? So while you're enrolled in the Eagle Soar virtual learning program, the events that you can attend are our events. There will be daily live instruction, synchronous and asynchronous learning, highly qualified teachers and support staff. And so these are teachers from our school district that have applied to participate in virtual learning. You will either have a self-contained classroom, so all subjects taught by one multiple subject teacher, or co-taught by 2. And so this teacher will teach students from across our district in 1 grade level. A minimum of 4 hours daily synchronous instruction and 4 hours of asynchronous instruction. K through 5 standards-based grading and 6 through 8 traditional letter grading. Attendance grading is based on participation and work completed. All 100% virtual learning requests will be invited to a parent, guardian, student, counselor, teacher meeting, and you'll be receiving a connected message this Friday and Saturday about your specific group meeting by school site. Chromebooks and hotspots are available for student use at home, and textbooks are available for student checkout as needed. Parents may request to return to in-person instruction at any time, although we strongly recommend best practices would be to transfer at the trimester or the semester. Now, our 100% virtual program for grades 9 through 12 or high school, students will be enrolled in the Eagle Soar virtual learning program, attend the Eagle Soar virtual learning program events, have weekly live, so minimum of 2 hours weekly, and Acellus computer-based instruction for the remaining 6 hours, synchronous and asynchronous instruction, highly qualified teachers and support staff. Students are assigned to a master teacher who will provide a minimum of 1 hour instruction in their credentialed subject area and 1 hour of weekly check-in progress monitoring. Students could potentially meet with additional teachers weekly or in combination with Acellus computer-based instruction. We'll have flexible scheduling. This does not follow a traditional schedule. There will be traditional letter grading. Attendance and grading is based on participation and work completed. We do have limited course offerings, and I want to make sure I repeat this. There are no honors or advanced placement courses available, and we have some limited electives available for this virtual program for the high school model. Chromebooks and hotspots are available for student use at home, and textbooks available for student checkout as needed. And parents may request to return in-person instruction at any time. Again, we only recommend that you transfer back at the semester. And that's just for process of instruction and grading for transcripts. This is a sample K through 8 schedule. So K through 8 students or TK through 8 students would be attending daily live instruction from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., have a 1-hour lunch break, and then attend asynchronous instruction from 1 to 3 p.m. Asynchronous instruction could include small group, designated ELD, art and music or other visual and performing arts, independent work time, tutoring, or one-on-one meetings with a teacher or small group. The 9 through 12 sample student schedule is vastly different from our traditional bell schedule. So note, grades 9 through 12 do not follow a traditional bell schedule. Students are assigned a master teacher who will meet with them weekly to provide 1 hour of weekly instruction and 1 hour of weekly check-in. The majority of the work will be asynchronous for high school students. Students will be assigned additional coursework by a one-on-one teacher or computer-based instruction to be completed independently. This is a listing of the virtual high school course offerings. As you can see, all the core courses that are provided. There are no honors or AP courses listed. We are only required to provide courses that meet graduation and A through G to get you into a CSU or a UC or other colleges. These are the elective courses that are provided. Please note that the courses that are marked with a double asterisk are only for graduation credit. The ones not marked with an asterisk under elective courses are both for graduation and A through G. I'll leave this up for just another minute so you can kind of get a sense of what we're offering for the high school virtual learning program. So time for questions and answers. So the quick questions that were already requested prior to the meeting. Can I transfer back to my home school? Parents have the option to transfer back to in-person learning within 5 instructional days, although we strongly recommend transfers at the trimester or semester only. Is 100% virtual learning like last year? For elementary, your child will be enrolled with a grade level peers from across our district. Your child will be assigned to a self-contained teacher for daily instruction. So yes, it is very similar to last year. For the high school, your child will be enrolled in a one-to-one and or small group instruction with grade level peers from across our district. Your child will be assigned to a master teacher for weekly instruction. So the high school program virtually is very different from last year. May my child attend events at their home site? Enrollment at our 100% virtual learning option indicates that your child's health would be put at risk if they attended in-person learning. Students are welcome to attend events associated with the Soar virtual learning program. Students may attend events at their home site when they return to 100% in-person learning. And then just really quick, let me escape that. Give me just a second to put it back on that slide. So of course, if you would like to sign up for our 100% virtual learning program, here are the Google form survey link, and there's a tiny URL that's a much shorter web address that's there. However, if you've changed your mind and would like to withdraw your 100% virtual learning program interest form, please email, and this is my email address where you can contact me, and please include the following information. So student last name and first name, student ID, date of birth, homeschool, grade level, and then parent last name and parent first name. So let me go ahead and go back to our Q&A slide.
Marissa, there's a lot of questions. I know you've answered them, but perhaps there were some latecomers to the meeting. So there's a lot of questions about if I'm in the virtual program, am I allowed to come to school and participate in clubs, dances, sports?
So the answer is no. If you sign up for the 100% virtual learning program, you're indicating that your health would be put at risk by attending in person. So if you sign up for the 100% virtual, you'll be attending only our virtual events. and not your home school's events. If you'd like to be able to participate in in-person events, you should really be enrolled in 100% in-person learning. Okay. I don't know if my analysts want to help me out with some of the rest of the Q&A.
I will. There's a question about how will photography class in high school work in a virtual learning setting?
Let me go up to the course list so I can show that again. So for some of these elective courses that are provided, some are provided through Acellus, and some of them we actually have bookwork for that. It was a curriculum developed by one of our teachers. And so they would participate in this course through that bookwork, as well as assignments that have been assigned for that, and then submit it for credit. And so that would be done asynchronously. Good question.
Can I answer the questions about special ed?
Yes, please.
So the law requires, as Ms. Maka stated in the presentation, if a special education student is, and the parent is requesting that they be in the virtual program, there must be an IEP team, and that meeting needs to take place with anyone that services that child. So special ed teacher, a gen ed teacher, a school psychologist, if your child receives any additional specialized services such as speech, occupational therapy, etc., we have to create an IEP meeting where that team will look at the needs of each child individually and determine if the virtual program can meet the needs of a child. So please know that that's going to have to wait probably for most children until school starts, because a lot of those providers don't start until the day before school. So we will be as quick as possible to get those meetings into place. But there's a lot of moving parts to that, and we do have to legally have an IEP meeting.
Okay. Mr. Schofield or Mr. Scanlon, if you'd like to help me through the Q&A.
Yeah, I'll do that. Sorry, I was responding to a question.
No worries.
It's quite all right. So, all right. Let me take a look here. In virtual learning, how will students participate in physical education? We'll start with that one.
So physical education, similar to our electives, will be handled asynchronously. And so there's actually a new curriculum that we'll be using for PE, but it will be handled asynchronously.
Okay. And I've seen a couple parents ask the question, can we go to school? Can we go to in-person learning for AP and then to in-person learning? I'm sorry, to virtual learning for the non-AP classes, and it's there's not a hybrid opportunity being offered in this case. So it's a family's decision and choice whether to attend in-person or virtual learning with that. But
correct. If you want to maintain your honors and AP classes, we strongly recommend that you participate in our 100% in-person learning program.
Yeah.
Ms. Mako, while Jim's looking for another question, there are a lot of questions about safety and specific questions about what's going to be in place at schools. As I stated earlier in the presentation, you will receive a connected message that will inform you of meetings that will specifically address all the safety procedures and safeguards that we have put into place for students to be safe. And again, those meetings are next Wednesday and Thursday, and you will receive an email. So I think that's the best place to address those questions, because you will have many people that are not in tonight's meeting that will be available to answer some of those questions.
All right. And then Marissa, I see you're typing an answer to a question about, for families who make that decision to go to virtual learning, and they understand that they're not going to be able to take the honors or the AP, do courses have to be reselected? And I would think that for sophomore honors English, the course would just become sophomore English. But for something like art history AP that might not be offered, I would think that the family would then, or the student would need to then go in and choose a different elective within virtual learning.
That is correct. We have access to your course requests. And so I will be actually making phone calls to all high school parents that have signed up this weekend, just to confirm your interest. And, we don't want to drop your honors and AP classes unless you've decided to confirm with the high school virtual learning program. But yes, we have access and we know what classes you should be scheduled in based on your grade level. You would probably just need to select new elective courses. The difference is that all of these courses are available, so there wouldn't be any courses filling up necessarily in terms of these electives. Good question.
Yeah, it's a really, really good question. I've seen it come up from more than one parent. And so I think another question I've seen is a theme out there that ties in with this is, at what point will this, so if I'm a parent, I'm interested in virtual learning. At what point will the courses I selected for in-person learning be removed from PowerSchool, and my child will be exited from those particular courses?
So for high school, I will be calling you this weekend. And I'll leave a message in case I don't get a hold of you, but I will not drop courses until I actually speak with a parent and get confirmation.
Okay. And then Lindsay and Pat, question is, will plexiglass be placed inside the cafeteria when masks need to be taken off and students are eating? I haven't heard any plans for this.
So, Mr. Schofield, we're going to answer all those questions at a detailed presentation next Wednesday and Thursday, as I stated early. All those
Okay.
safety questions, vaccine
Gotcha.
questions, contact tracing, we will do that next week on Wednesday and Thursday.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. I was
No worries.
busy
No
answering
worries.
questions and looking for questions. So, okay, and Dr. Palacios, how are kids who are in a program such as PODER impacted?
Yes,
by
that's
the
another
delay?
good question. So your child will not get kicked out of PODER. They will be able to return to PODER as soon as they return to the 100% in-person learning. And we definitely feel what you're expressing in these messages. Our 100% in-person program is our strongest recommendation, our most comprehensive program that we have to offer. Your child will not be in 100% virtual learning forever. They can return to 100% in-person learning at any time, although we recommend it this semester, right? And that's just for learning continuity and for grading and making sure it posts correctly to your transcript. And so your child would not be kicked out of the PODER program. They could return to it as soon as they return to the 100% in-person learning.
Yeah, and so folks are asking if and I don't know if this can be put in the chat room, but a link to the application.
Yeah, definitely. Let me
Okay.
put that in right now. Give me just
Yeah.
a second.
All righty, and then question about going over in-person learning. That's not really part of tonight's meeting, but in-person learning will be much like it was before we went to the pandemic, with obvious health guidelines put into place with that. And as Pat Mahoney said, that there will be additional meetings next week to talk about some of those additional measures. So, and I'm just looking here. Will students have a chance to enter AP and honors courses if returning to in-person at trimester 2? And we're gonna think that that's semester 2 because we just had the semesters at the high school level. Or will they be locked out from any participation? And our courses have a class maximum set on them, and so the class maximum for classes is set at 36. So if they come back and a course is full, they won't be able to be added into that. And then there's just a question about the gap in learning and the knowledge that would be need to be made up from that missing semester 1. So I think that would be a very detailed discussion with your student's counselor back at the site. Okay. So Dr. Palacios, I believe you talked about this, but I've seen a couple questions. So just a point for reinforcement. In order to be in the virtual program, do parents have to show documentation of a potential health risk that would necessitate the placement of virtual learning, or is a parent's concern for their child's safety and well-being enough of a factor to be placed in virtual learning or to have a spot?
You do not have to show any kind of a doctor note or form. The law protects our parents, and it's up to a parent's discretion. Although, obviously you should disclose anything that we should be aware of, I think, and that's just to support your child. But you do not have to provide a doctor's note to show proof of being medically at risk.
Okay. And here's a great question. If I choose virtual learning, will the schedule look the same as last year's virtual learning?
No, it will not. It's independent study for high school is very different. It does not follow a traditional bell schedule. It is much more independent or asynchronous work that is assigned. You're assigned a master teacher, and that master teacher handles the content for that one subject that you're taking, as well as assigning you potentially to another teacher or a cellist for computer-based instruction. So the schedule is not the same. Another question that I received recently was, if I have a child that's a ninth grader who wanted to take honors math, like accelerated math or English honors, will that prevent not taking those classes virtually? Will that prevent them from getting in their sophomore year for in-person? No, it will not. We have open enrollment, so anyone can select that during registration. It will not prevent them from attending or participating in honors or AP classes during the following school year.
Okay.
So here's another question. It has to do with graduation. If I attend the virtual learning program, do I get a diploma from Soar or their home high school?
So you would be getting it from their home high school, because Soar is not a school, it is a program.
And then as far as students going back to school for in-person learning, how do they obtain their schedule? I see that question. The same as in the past, students are able to go in through the portal, and they're able to see what their schedule of classes are. All of our counselors, school counselors, have returned to work. So if there's a need for a schedule adjustment, the school counselors are all on campus, and they've been back officially since this past Thursday. So
There's a lot of questions, Marissa, about, will my child get the same schedule or the schedule that they chose originally if they choose to go back at any course during the semester? I think they're saying, if I signed up for APs and honors or certain electives and I changed my mind 10 to 15 days in, or even 30 days in, am I guaranteed my same program?
No, you are not. Once you made the commitment to the virtual learning program, those honors and AP classes get dropped. We can't hold spots in that. That's not fair to other students. And so you would not be guaranteed a spot in any of those classes on your return. Obviously, we guarantee your grade level required classes, but it's open to what electives are available at the time.
yeah, and like I had discussed this a few minutes ago in terms of the class sizes, being contractually limited to 36. And so for our honors and AP classes, there's oftentimes where there's a waiting list. So yeah, those spaces are very valued commodities on the site. So get focused, stay focused. We offering that for ninth graders?
There is an elective option.
In virtual.
Yeah, there's an elective option available in virtual.
Okay, good. And yeah, because part of that is building that 10-year plan. So they'll be able to do that. And just moving down. Person says, if I'm in the early college program, the ECP, can I continue that online? And that comes down to what East Los Angeles is offering, correct?
Correct. I think I responded to this already in an earlier question, but definitely if you want to email me, I can confirm what format ELAC is offering our early college program for next year.
Dr. Palacio, I have a partial answer for that.
Okay, good.
Spoke with Dr. Huang. They are offering fall in virtual classes for ELAC, but in the spring, they do intend for it to be in person, and students in the program will be expected to attend. So if they are virtual in the spring or whenever ELAC decides to go in person, they will not be able to continue since they will be at risk health-wise and will not be able to attend the in-person classes, which are required. But the fall, they do intend to do virtual classes.
Excellent. Thank you. I appreciate being able to respond to that now.
Okay. Question about buses. Our school buses will be up and running as they have been in the past for our students who live at there's a specified distance from the school where students are able to take the buses, and those will be operating. And let's see. As I go through and different people grab questions, the questions jump.
I'll definitely answer one. So for high school students that are returning to school, how will they obtain their class schedule? And so for high school, after I make that phone call this weekend, I'll be inviting you to our back to school night, which will be Monday, the 9th. And so we'll be providing some general information again. And then on the first day of school, we'll be hosting another meeting where we start to talk about our master agreement, and that's your course schedule and the supports that we're going to put into place for your particular educational plan and support you through the virtual learning program. So it's a little bit later than our K through 8, our TK through 8 program, but you'll be invited after I speak and confirm with you and your parent this weekend.
Okay. All right. Let's see. I'm just looking to see if there's any other.
There's just questions about why we're not offering direct instruction for AP classes. And I don't know if you've answered that, but that's a question.
Yes, we cannot offer any honors or AP classes during the virtual learning program. And that's mostly because we cannot guarantee you a spot back at the comprehensive site because those courses fill up pretty quickly. In fact, a majority of them are filled up at all 3 high schools. We would not want you to lose your spot in those honors and AP classes. So please consider attending the 100% in-person learning program. Okay.
Yeah, and one of the important things I think to remember too is that is that students who opt for virtual learning, that there is an A through G program that's being offered. While not honors or AP, students will be able to take their classes that will qualify for attendance at the Cal States and the UCs. And the Cal States and the UCs are also very much aware that students who are applying right now, that their transcripts, they look a little bit different, and that they're not the traditional transcripts necessarily that they have seen. And they've been doing a very nice job in making the appropriate adjustments for that. So. Okay, and yes, and so as I mentioned before, school buses will be operating for in-person learning students for those who live in the areas that qualify for accessing transportation. And so students should not have to re-register for classes for in-person learning. the students are being, students have been loaded into classes already for virtual learning. They won't have to re-register, as Dr. Palacios had discussed. We have those course requests, and they'll transfer over. The place where the school counselor will need to work with families is where there's courses that were requested that are not being offered in virtual learning. And then
Marissa, is your virtual orientation in person, or is that going to be via Zoom or webinar?
It's virtual. It'll be on Zoom.
Thank you.
okay.
Yes.
And forgive me, is that the August 9th?
Yes, that's the August 9th date. I just pulled up my calendar to confirm. I don't want to give out the wrong information.
And what time will that be?
It'll probably be at 5:30.
Okay, so August 9th at 5:34.
And then I'll be providing that information when I make contact this weekend.
And can I answer a question about what's going to take place for in-person students? There's a question about if virtual students cannot attend or participate in clubs at their home site, does that mean that club meetings and events will take place in person? So we are opening for in-person learning, and with that comes the same activities we had when we were pre-pandemic. So club meetings that can be held in person, provided that students are masked, or if it's outdoors and we have an opportunity for them to meet in person, that will be allowed on campus. Sports will take place as well, and any other events of that sort. So yes, those things will take place, and they are for students that are attending, if those meetings attend in person.
Okay, and then the question has come across a few times. When will students in-person learning, when will their schedules be available? They will be available on August 3rd after 11:59. So August 3rd after 11:50. Okay, and that is PM. So essentially, as we move the calendar date onto August 4th is when schedules will be made available.
Ms. Mahoney, can you clarify the IEP next steps for students that want to participate in virtual?
Yes, so we are not allowed for your child to attend the virtual program until an IEP takes place. It is considered a change of placement. Students are welcome to attend at their school where they attend for school until an IEP can be held, but we cannot allow you to enroll in the virtual program until an IEP has been held.
So this weekend, for the high school parents that are signing up to participate in the program, I'll be making the call during kind of normal working hours, and I'll leave a voicemail if I cannot get a hold of you so that you can call me back at a convenient time.
An IEP is an individualized educational program. It is a document for students that qualify for special education, and it lists all the services and accommodations and modifications that a student needs to be successful in a school setting.
And Dr. Palacios, is there a link available for this PowerPoint?
Yes, I will be actually downloading it as a PDF and then putting it on our district website.
Very good. Very, very good. And you can access our district website by going to www.ausd.us is the website. So that'll be contained there.
Marissa, if they choose to cancel out of the virtual program, again, could you show the slide so a parent knows if they know that this is not going to be a good option, that they can just email you and tell you that they're not interested, and it sounds like they're interested in a in-person program.
Correct.
Yeah. And so, for students who are in virtual learning, they will not be able to attend clubs unless the clubs has, a way of setting up virtual participation for students. But so yeah, so that is with that. And then
please remember that even if you are not enrolled in an AP class, anyone can sign up to take an AP test.
Can I address transportation? There's a lot of questions about transportation, and there might be some confusion. And so Jim, I'm going to have you chime in, but there are limited transportation options. So for special education students who have transportation as a service in their IEP, those families will be contacted by our transportation department with the schedule and pickup, etc. Additionally, there is limited transportation for students that lived in certain parts of our community, primarily the Monterey Park Hills location and the Rosemead location. And those buses have certain routes and pickup times and drop-off times. Jim, did you want to expand on that?
Yeah, I mean, with the high schools and bus transportation, so San Gabriel, for example, there are, and for to a limited extent, students attending Mark Keppel, there are designated bus stops, and students have to live in specific areas to be able to, take the bus. So for San Gabriel, I believe, families have to live on the south side of the San Bernardino Freeway, for example, for that. And so the business and activities offices at the school will have those transportation schedules available, and you can contact the business and activities office and they can get those to you and advise you if you're within an area that qualifies for bus transportation. And
Marissa, I'm a little confused. Somebody's asking about my schedules. How will schedules be made or adjusted for extracurricular activities? My coach Ramos has scheduled official softball practice. So can we make it clear which students can attend on-campus sports and which students, depending on their program, cannot?
So in-person students can attend sports. If you are attending the virtual learning program, you are indicating that by attending in person could jeopardize your health. So if you're attending in-person learning, you can participate in sports.
yeah, and then and you probably said this and I apologize, is there a cutoff date to apply for in-person learning?
But I set a very soft deadline of tomorrow at 4 o'clock, and that is because we need to know what our student need is so that we can provide the appropriate staffing. But it will be ongoing throughout the school year as parents may deem it necessary for their child to attend in person or 100% virtual learning.
Okay, very good. And so question is, for virtual learning, is it going to, will students be online and interacting with their teachers and their classmates the way that they did last year?
No, it is a very different program from last year. Last year, you were on a bell schedule because all high school teachers were teaching through distance learning. That distance learning model expired on June 30th and was not extended. However, we are required by law to provide you with an independent study option. And that option is for parents whose students would be put at risk for attending in-person learning. So, students that are immune compromised or have some other medical condition or a mental health concern. That is why the 100% virtual learning option is available.
Okay. Very good. Well, I believe, let's see. Is Eagle Soar a new program or has it been offered before? No, this is a new program.
Yeah, the 100% virtual learning program is a new program for our district for TK through 12. Well, excellent questions.
All right. And yes, they certainly have been excellent questions, Dr. Palacios. And looking at the remaining couple of questions, I believe that, everything has been answered at some point during the course of the evening. And as Assistant Superintendent Mahoney mentioned, there will be some additional meetings next week to talk about safety protocols as we come back with schools.
Jim, can I clarify the bus question? Because
Yes, yeah, I just saw that.
so when I said limited busing, I was indicating that we don't have busing for the entire district. So the same busing that was in place
Yes.
prior to the pandemic will still be in place as we open school. I just wanted to make it clear that we don't have busing for the entire school district. Thank you.
Yeah, I see. There's so the schedules that will be coming out. Extracurricular and co-curricular programs are going to have to adjust to the new schedules across the state of California. We are starting at 8:30, and there is a California state law that officially goes into effect at the beginning of, I believe, the 2022 school year, where all 7th through 12th grades must start no earlier than 8:30. And so all of the various districts and leagues with which we participate are going to need to adjust their schedule to the academic schedule. And I'll say what I did when I was principal, what I would say to my students and my coaches. The term is student athlete, and so the student part will always come first, and then the athlete part is important, but the student part has to take the priority. And so those adjustments will have to be made as we move through the school year. Okay, and if we could, Dr. Palacios or somebody, if anybody could please put a phone number in the chat room for additional questions, if there's a general phone number we're using for additional questions.
Yes, I'll do that right now. And
have
I'll
a
put my
couple-
email address as well.
Yeah, we've got a couple of parents.
If you
who would
email me
appreciate that.
with your contact information, I'd be happy to call you tomorrow as well.
Okay. And I know we have answered many questions about, if in virtual cannot participate in the co-curricular and extracurricular activities. Has a decision been made on this time about graduation ceremonies for those 12th graders who opt for virtual?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, Jim? I apologize. I was trying
Yeah,
to read another question.
yeah, if I'm a 12th grader and I attend virtual learning all year, what will my graduation look like? Will I be part of a ceremony for VLA only? Will it be virtual? Will I have an opportunity to do in-person graduation?
So we have not determined that. We would have a ceremony for our virtual learning program unless the student chooses to return to their home school. And we would recommend that you return to your home school at the semester.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and all students are required to have a student ID. And so Dr. Palacios, I'm not sure what the procedure is going to be for getting our students in virtual learning photo ID, but I know that that's a requirement that all students have an ID.
Correct. All students have an ID. If it's for the purposes of picking up lunch, there is an option for you to print out that ID on a sheet of paper on the parent portal. Most likely, we will be using the photos from your previous school year.
Okay, yeah, and there's important information that students need to have that goes on the back of that ID card as well. There will be a single lunch for students this year. I've seen a couple lunch questions come up.
Well, that depends on the school site. That's not the case for TK to 8, Jim.
Oh,
There's-
I'm sorry. I'm thinking with the high
Okay.
school frame.
I
You're very
know.
correct. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking with that high school frame of mind since
All right.
with high school. So thank you. So for 9th through 12th grade, there will be one lunch in the schedule. And then for our TK through 8, as in the past, there will continue to be a staggered schedule. Okay. And okay. And so and I'm looking to see, and things like graduation, those are ongoing discussions throughout the year. We certainly don't want any parent to feel as though students are being punished or diminished for attending virtual learning. And, our intention is to provide, as I was saying earlier, a program that offers them the courses and the opportunities to meet their A through G and to be able to continue with the same curriculum that their classmates are back on the comprehensive schools, especially should they return to the comprehensive programs at some point during the year. And yes, the school time, we are starting at 8:30 as we did last year with our distance learning. So the start time at the high school.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you. Because K8 is not the same because we do have both sets of parents here in the room. Want to make sure we make that.
Yeah. So at the high school, that first block of instruction will begin at 8:30. Okay.
So Jim, there's also a 0 period. So if there's a course that your child can take at 7:30, that is an option, but there's limited courses. I'm not sure what those courses look like, but that might be an option for some students that need to come earlier.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. Yeah, so at this time, the only option for honors and AP is through in-person learning on campus.
Although any student can sign up to take the AP test without having taken the course.
Yeah. Okay, and it is 6:59. We have one open question remaining. And so Dr. Palacios, and we have some additional questions coming up. But, stay tuned for things like the PSAT. And, as the schools offer those or they become available, you'll certainly be contacted for that.
Yes, for the parent meetings next week, you will receive a Blackboard Connect message. And I'm sure that Miss Natalie T. Gaither will post those on our social media sites as well.
Yeah.
I can share, sorry, Jim, I can share that next Wednesday, we will have a meeting for high school Karens from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock. And on Thursday for elementary, we will be sending home a Blackboard Connect message. It will also be posted. The Zoom links aren't ready yet, but they will be. But if you're not able to attend at 5 o'clock, we will be recording the meetings and posting them on the district's YouTube channel afterwards.
Yeah. And then Marissa, parents asking if you can elaborate on, students, a student being able to take the
An
AP
test.
test without being
Absolutely.
actually enrolled in the course.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone can sign up to take an AP test. You do not have to actually take a course, an AP course to take the actual test. And so if you don't know, all local educational agencies, so all school districts are required to provide this 100% virtual option for kids whose health would be put at risk for attending in person. So College Board is going to be required to provide an option for this testing to be done online as well. And you should receive more information, I'm sure, mid-year about that, but you can still sign up to take an AP test. And so you would just have to require payment for that. But anyone can sign up to take an AP test without taking the course. And that's just general information for all students.
There's quite a few questions about, I'm going to defer to Ed Services. I don't know if you have an answer yet. Is the district planning to offer the PSAT, the SAT, or the SAT? I know that Department of Public Health does allow school districts to offer these tests as long as we follow recommended protocol. And do you have an answer, Ed Services?
I don't know at this time. We have to have another conversation regarding that.
Thank you.
Okay, so I see that we've answered all of our questions. I'm going to be developing a FAQ sheet to also post online for common questions that I think have been requested over the 2 parent sessions that we posted on Tuesday and now today. And so we will also be uploading a copy of this video to our YouTube page. Is that correct, Miss Natalie?
Yes, we will load it when the recording is ready.
Thank you. So thank you for your time. Thank you for spending a little bit of your evening with us. We hope that we've answered all of your questions. Take care. And again, here is my email address on the screen in case you want to email me any questions. I can contact you. As well as if you want to withdraw your child from the 100% virtual learning program, please submit that following information on that email. And then vice versa, if you'd like to sign up for the 100% virtual learning program, please complete this tiny URL Google form that I have provided a link to. Okay. Thank you very much for your time. Have a good one, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Palacios.
Thank you.